Hello, my name is Sarah Tellis, and this Ignite presentation was created to help teachers better understand formative assessment and the impact that it has on student achievement. This was the final project for instructional technology and design and assessment. So do you know the difference between formative and summative assessment? This illustration really shows that formative assessment or assessments are the steps or actions that need to be taken to identify students' strengths and learning needs. The summative assessment is really the end game or the final grade. Formative assessments are the actions that improve learning, providing students with feedback during the instructional process and adjusting teaching and learning to show growth. To maximize the impact of formative assessment, we need to make sure that we are aligning the assessments to learning targets, that we are diagnosing students' needs through some sort of pre-assessment to see what they already know, and being sure that we're providing feedback and results with given enough time for some action. Don't just move on to a new concept. The 7 strategies of assessment for learning focus on 3 questions. Where am I going? Where am I now? And how can I close this gap? Teachers need to keep all of these questions in mind as we're teaching and assessing students. So the first section, where am I going, asks teachers to provide a clear and understandable vision of the learning target and use examples of models of strong and weak work. We want to focus on the strong pieces so students understand expectations and the learning target. The second question, where am I now, suggests that teachers offer regular descriptive feedback during learning, and this can look any number of ways. And we also need to teach students to self-assess and set goals for next steps of learning, reflecting, connecting, being active learners. And finally, how can I close the gap? We need to make sure we're using evidence of student learning to determine next steps in teaching, and then design our instruction, allowing students time to practice, give them feedback, and assess again. So I found this quote based on culture of assessment. Students think and act like learners rather than grade grubbers or homework completion machines. It's important to build a learning culture around assessments in the classroom, and there are 3 different learning approaches that you may find in the classroom. The first one is the learning goal approach, where this is where we want to see students working to improve to get better. We don't want to just see them trying to protect self-worth or simply complete an assignment. Students need to know that it's okay to make mistakes. This needs to be taught to them, creating a safe classroom environment beginning on day 1 of school. Part of building that safe classroom environment is to celebrate successes. So success feedback is one way we can do this by identifying what was done correctly, describe a feature quality of the work, and then point out effective use of the strategy. This builds up student confidence and shows them it's okay to make mistakes. On the other hand, there's next step feedback that helps students take action. They make improvements, they practice their skills that they still may need improvement on. It allows teachers to make suggestions and ask questions for students. Peer feedback can also be a valuable formative assessment tool. It allows peers to deepen their own understanding on concepts. We train students to recognize and describe features of quality. Students are usually more receptive to their peers, and they can come up with problem-solving strategies. One of the problems with self-assessment is that lots of students aren't very good at it, and if they're not good at it, it doesn't do them much good. This quote just reiterates that assessment strategies need to be taught to students to be beneficial. There's no fairy godmother to cast a spell of assessment on our students. We need to teach them how to improve. And how we can increase student achievement is to teach assessment, help them understand strengths or weaknesses, and set challenging learning targets. 3 fundamental principles were found in the text How Students Learn by Donovan and Bransford. And these are things that teachers should follow to make sure that we are maximizing student learning. Students need to have a well-structured conceptual framework. They often come with preconceptions about how the world works, and sometimes these are wrong, and we need to have tools in place to dislodge these misconceptions. Second, students need a strong factual knowledge, and they need to remember, organize, and apply learning to their world. And finally, they need to take control of their own learning using metacognition to become self-directed learners. If you take nothing else away from this Ignite presentation, know that if there are no actions, there will be no gains, and we must know where students are going, where they are now, and how to close the gaps. Thank you.